Imagine if you were offered $100,000, but with one condition: you would never meet your wife. What do you think? I would choose the money, but why? Listening to the story to the end, you will understand. I've always thought that betrayal comes like thunder, loud, sudden, unmistakable. But the truth is, it starts quietly. A look that lingers too long on the screen. A change in the air between two people who used to share everything. A growing silence that no one speaks of. I'm Bruce, 32 years old, married for 6 years. I used to think we were one of the happiest couples. We weren't perfect, who is? But we went through a job loss, a miscarriage, family drama. I thought that was worth something. I thought we had something real. But for the past 2 months, something has been off. Laura's phone, once carelessly tossed on the couch, has now become an extension of her arm. She protects it as if it were a national secret. She smiles as she types a message, and then looks at me as if she feels guilty for smiling. And she's wearing expensive perfume. It's not mine. Too sharp, too musky. It clings to her like a warning label. When I first noticed it, she said she was being hugged by her friend Aaron, who must have borrowed her boyfriend's hoodie. I nodded. I wanted to believe it. I really did. But this nagging feeling kept bothering me. I started to follow her. She went to business with full makeup, the kind she only wore on dates. Her gym sessions increased from 45 minutes to almost 3 hours. And worst of all, she stopped looking at me the same way. Her eyes used to light up when I walked into the room. Now they flicker, hesitate, and then dim. That night, as I checked her phone, my stomach twisted into knots. I hated myself for even thinking about it. But when she stepped into the shower and I saw it on the nightstand, unlocked for the first time in months, I told myself I just needed some peace. Instead, I got confirmation that my world was about to fall apart. The messages were not just random. They were intimate, playful, lustful. Things she hadn't said to me in years. Things I didn't even know she still had in her. There were pictures, ones she'd never taken for me. And then came a message that was like a shot to the chest. I can't stop thinking about last night. I wish we didn't have to hide. The man's name was Chris. He was a coach. She mentioned him a few times in passing. Just a guy at the gym who helped her with her fitness. I even laughed once, saying that he better not be too helpful. She smiled and said, "You're welcome. He's harmless." I sat there with her phone in my hands while the water ran in the shower. The world was spinning, but I couldn't move. I wanted to burst in and demand answers, to scream until my throat was torn. But I didn't. Instead, I started to gather information. I turned on the location data feature on her phone. She didn't notice. I tracked her as she ran errands. The name Crescent Motel started to appear too often. Once it could have been a coincidence. Twice was suspicious. 5 times? I knew. Last Saturday I lied. I told her I was working a double shift. She smiled as if she was relieved. She said she would relax and do the laundry. I drove to the motel and parked down the street. Her car was already there. I waited for her. Hours passed. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tightly that they left fingerprints. At 11:55 p.m., I saw her get out with him. They were kissing under the yellow glow of the motel sign, as if they had every right to be there, as if I didn't exist. And now what? She still doesn't know that I know. I go to work. I walk the dog. I cook dinner. And I die every time she texts him, sitting across from me, laughing at a meme I'll never see. I talked to the lawyer, asked about the house, about the dog. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anyone. This hopelessness is worse than the pain. It's a slow drip of a tap in a dark room that keeps me awake, night after night. But I'm not going to live here forever. Something has to change. And when it does, I don't know who I'll be when the dust settles. There's an art to pretending, to smiling just enough, to asking, "How was your day?" without letting the scream in your throat slip out. It's the performance of a lifetime, playing the role of a loving husband while the ghost of betrayal sits at the dinner table beside you, helping itself to seconds. It's Thursday night. Laura's chopping vegetables in the kitchen, humming an old pop song that used to drive me crazy. Now it just sounds like static. The scent of garlic and rosemary fills the air. It should feel like home. It doesn't. So, she says without looking up, how was work? I almost laugh. Not because it's funny, but because the absurdity of it all is choking me. How was work? Oh, same as always. Distracted, haunted, emotionally eviscerated. Yours? Instead, I nod. Busy is my new favorite word. Vague, impenetrable, safe. She pours 2 glasses of wine, red, her favorite. She used to pour white for me. I notice these little things now. I catalog them like a detective in a slow-burning noir. Not because they matter in the grand scheme of betrayal, but because they make the silence louder. We sit, we eat, we talk about the weather, the dog, her plans with Erin this weekend. That's when it hits me. I know exactly where she'll be. I can picture the motel. The hallway. Room 17, probably. She thinks I'm blind. That I still see her the way I used to, golden, loyal, untouchable. And part of me does. That's the worst part. I still want to believe this is all a mistake. That Chris is a phase. A midlife crisis in gym shorts. But then, somewhere between bites of roasted chicken and the forced laughter from some sitcom rerun, something inside me breaks. Quietly, like a snapped thread. After dinner, she heads upstairs to shower. I linger behind, washing dishes I don't remember eating off. My reflection stares back at me from the kitchen window. Hollow eyes, faint stubble. A man trapped in a story he didn't write. I dry my hands and walk into the den. Our dog, Murphy, lifts his head from the couch and gives a lazy tail wag. He's a Retriever Lab mix, rescued 4 years ago after Laura insisted she needed something to nurture. Funny how we always project our wounds onto things we can control. Murphy looks at me like he knows. I sit next to him and whisper, "What do I do, buddy?" He licks my hand, and I break. Tears, sudden and hot, stream down my face. The kind of tears you don't even try to stop. Not the dramatic, movie kind. Just quiet, trembling grief. I bury my face into Murphy's fur and cry like a child who finally realizes the monster under the bed is real and married to him. It feels ridiculous. Crying into a dog's shoulder like he's a therapist with a tail. But there's something sacred in his silence. He doesn't tell me to toughen up. Doesn't tell me to forgive or forget. He just stays. After a while, the tears stop. I sit up, sniffle, and look at him. "You're the only one who hasn't lied to me," I say. Murphy lets out a grunt and plops his head on my lap like it's the most obvious truth in the world. Then, because life has a cruel sense of humor, Laura calls down, "Can you grab me a towel?" I forgot one. I freeze. She used to wrap herself in my hoodie after showers. Now, she wraps herself in secrets. But I grab the towel. I go upstairs. I hand it to her without a word. Her skin glistens. She smells like lavender and sin. "Thanks, babe," she says. Babe, it used to feel like a kiss. Now it feels like a bullet. Back downstairs, I pour myself a drink I don't need. Whiskey, neat. I let it burn. Let it punish me. Because maybe I should have said something. Maybe I should have thrown her phone into the fireplace weeks ago. Or better yet, walked out. But I'm still here. Because love doesn't vanish overnight. It decays. Slowly. Quietly. Like wood eaten from the inside. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. But I do know this. When I finally stop, it won't be quiet. It'll be a storm she never saw coming. Some mornings, I wake up before the alarm and just lie there, watching her sleep. It's not romantic. It's more like watching a stranger occupy the body of someone I used to love. She sleeps facing the wall now, her back to me. She used to curl into my chest, tuck her toes beneath my calf like I was her anchor. Now I'm a piece of furniture in the room, useful, familiar, but unremarkable. Today, I don't move when the alarm goes off. I let it ring longer than usual. Petty? Sure. But it's the only act of rebellion I have left. She groans and slaps it silent. No good morning. Just a groggy sigh and the sound of her feet hitting the hardwood. She leaves the room like we're roommates who've overstayed our welcome in each other's lives. I lie there, staring at the ceiling fan. It spins and spins but goes nowhere. Kind of like us. Later, over breakfast, she's scrolling through her phone again. Her face glows with that stupid, giddy smile she doesn't bother hiding anymore. She thinks I'm oblivious. Or worse, apathetic. She thinks I've stopped looking. What she doesn't know is that I see everything now. She mentions she's meeting Aaron for lunch again. It's the third time this week Aaron's supposedly needed a shoulder to cry on. At this point, Aaron must be either going through a catastrophic divorce or dead in a ditch. I nod like I believe it. Tell Aaron I said hi. I say, sipping my coffee. Still haven't seen her in a while. Weird how our paths never cross anymore. She blinks. It's a small thing, but I see the glitch behind her eyes. A crack in the mask. Yeah, she says too quickly. She's been going through stuff. I hum, non-committal. Then add, maybe I'll text her. See if she wants to grab coffee next week. Laura's smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. She's really busy. Some mornings I wake up before the alarm and just lie there, watching her sleep. It's not romantic. It's more like watching a stranger occupy the body of someone I used to love. She sleeps facing the wall now, her back to me. She used to curl into my chest, tuck her toes beneath my calf like I was her anchor. Now I'm a piece of furniture in the room, useful, familiar, but unremarkable. Today, I don't move when the alarm goes off. I let it ring longer than usual. Petty? Sure. But it's the only act of rebellion I have left. She groans and slaps it silent. No, good morning. Just a groggy sigh and the sound of her feet hitting the hardwood. She leaves the room like we're roommates who've overstayed our welcome in each other's lives. I lie there, staring at the ceiling fan. It spins and spins but goes nowhere. Kind of like us. Later, over breakfast, she's scrolling through her phone again. Her face glows with that stupid, giddy smile she doesn't bother hiding anymore. She thinks I'm oblivious. Or worse, apathetic. She thinks I've stopped looking. What she doesn't know is that I see Everett. I'll ask anyway. It's a dangerous game. I'm playing passive aggression disguised as concern. But for once, I want her to squirm. I go to work, but my head's not there. It hasn't been for weeks. My coworkers think I'm dealing with burnout. They're not wrong. But it's not just work I'm burnt out on, it's the performance. The act of being okay. At lunch, I step outside and call my brother, Mark. He's 3 years older. Married. 2 kids. Stable as a brick house. He picks up on the second ring. Hey, man. What's up? And suddenly, I want to tell him everything. But I don't. Instead, I say, you ever feel like you're living with a stranger? He laughs. You mean marriage? Not like that, I murmur. I mean really a stranger. Someone who lies to your face and kisses you goodnight like it's nothing. There's a pause. Bruce. What's going on? I almost say it. Almost spill the whole rotting truth. But I swallow it. Cowardice, maybe? Or fear of hearing it out loud and not being able to go back. Just tired, I lie. Mark doesn't press. But before we hang up, he says, you know, if something ever happens, really happens, you can call me. Right? I nod even though he can't see it. Yeah. Thanks. That night, Laura comes home smelling like soap and citrus. A different scent than usual. It's faint, but I notice. Chris must use a new body wash. She kisses my cheek like a machine and sits next to me on the couch. I pretend to watch a documentary about plane crashes. Fitting. She rests her head on my shoulder. For a second, my body reacts on instinct, muscle memory of comfort, of belonging. But I don't lean in. I stay still. Cold. She sighs and shifts away. There's something in that sigh. Not guilt. Not sorrow. Just resignation. And for the first time, I realize something chilling. She doesn't think I'll ever leave. That's her mistake. Because I've started packing already. Not boxes. Not clothes. Pieces of myself. One by one. My laughter. My trust. My dreams for the future. I'm folding them up in mental suitcases, placing them on shelves she'll never see. By the time I finally go, there won't be anything left of me to miss. Only the echo of a man who once loved her enough to stay. Pretending to be a happy couple in front of someone who persistently talks about every stupid thought that comes to mind is a special kind of cruelty. Come in, Gloria. My mother-in-law. She showed up on Friday night with a suitcase, a grocery bag full of her specialty, and a smile that made me want to crawl into the freezer and never come out. Surprise, she sang as she stepped out into the hallway, clapping her hands as if we were part of some low-budget game show. Laura froze. Mom, what are you doing here? Well, Gloria grumbled, setting down her floral print suitcase. You never call, and I thought, why not visit my favorite girl and her handsome husband? Besides, Aaron said you've been under a lot of stress lately. I thought you could use some help. I felt Laura tense up next to me. Aaron, the friend with the fake alibi. Great. So now her lie had backup. We didn't know you were coming, Laura said, trying to smile. I know, honey, that's the fun part. If by fun she meant the emotional equivalent of chewing aluminum foil, then yes, it was a lot of fun. The guest room wasn't ready yet, so we had to hurry up and pretend we hadn't dismantled our marriage over the past few months. I made the bed with fresh sheets. Laura scrubbed the bathroom as if she were scrubbing guilt from the tiles. Gloria, meanwhile, made herself at home. And by that I mean she criticized everything. Oh, are you still using the same coffee maker? It makes everything taste burnt. Your couch cushions are a little limp, don't you think? You look tired, Bruce. Are you getting enough fiber? I smiled like a hostage and nodded. Just living the dream, Gloria. And what's the worst part? She meant well. That's what made it unbearable. She truly believed she was helping. Like a cat that throws a dead bird at your feet and purrs with pride. At dinner, she asked the wrong questions. So, are there any children on the horizon? Laura choked on her wine. I stared at my plate. The silence was deafening. Gloria continued. I mean, 6 years. TikTok, right? You're not getting any younger. And I know Laura would be a wonderful mother. Oh, absolutely, I replied emphatically. She's practicing her sneaking skills. She's very stealthy. She's good at hide and seek. Laura shot me a glare. Gloria laughed, completely missing the tone. You've always been such a joker, Bruce. I smiled and went to the kitchen where I stood alone for a long minute, hands on the countertop, trying to swallow the rage that was stuck in my throat. A moment later, Laura joined me, slamming the door behind her. What the hell was that? She hissed. I'm sorry, I said, but I didn't sound sorry at all. It's just been hard to keep track of all the lies lately. Sometimes it slips out. You're cruel. I turned to her. Am I being cruel? Or am I just catching up? Her face twisted. Was it pain? Guilt? Maybe just irritation that I wasn't rolling over like I usually did. She looked like she wanted to say something. Maybe a confession. Maybe justify herself. But instead, she turned around and left. A coward. I stayed in the kitchen and poured myself a drink. Murphy settled down at my feet as if waiting for a push. We slept in separate rooms that night, blaming Gloria's snoring. But the truth was louder than any of her noises. On Saturday morning, I found Gloria reorganizing the pantry. I don't know how you find anything in here, she chirped. Usually I just suffer in silence, I muttered. Nothing. That afternoon I took Murphy for a long walk, longer than usual. The kind of walk where you don't care where you're going, just as long as you get away. We passed the old bakery where Laura and I had our second date. I remember how she laughed when I sprinkled powdered sugar on my shirt. How she leaned across the table to brush it off, her fingers soft and warm. I could not reconcile this memory with the person who slept in the next room. When I got home, Gloria was watching one of those crime documentaries where the husband always kills the wife. Fascinating, she said, sipping her tea. You never know what people are capable of, do you? I met her eyes. She blinked. Well, certainly not you. I smiled. Of course. That evening Laura came into the living room after Gloria had gone to bed. She looked tired. No makeup on. Damp. I know we need to talk, she whispered. My heart leapt out of my chest. Finally. But then she added, let's just not do it while she's here. Please. I nodded. Sure. Because what else could I do? We were actors in a play that no one wanted to see. And the audience had moved in. But I got tired of waiting for her to write the ending. Soon I started writing it myself. 1 page at a time. And I was pretty damn sure it wouldn't be a tragedy for me. Sunday morning starts like every other since Gloria's arrival, awkward silence, over-brewed tea, and a running commentary on everything. She hums in the kitchen while making oatmeal like we're in a retirement home commercial. Do you want chia seeds or flax seed? She calls out. I want coffee and peace, I mutter. Laura hears me. She shoots a warning look from across the room. I offer her a bland smile. She is fine. Murphy lays under the table, tail thumping lightly. Even he looks like he's had enough of Gloria's folksy wisdom and overenthusiastic weather observations. We make it through breakfast with only 5 passive-aggressive remarks and 2 unsolicited health tips. A record. After dishes, Laura retreats to the bedroom with her phone, saying she's got a headache. I wonder if her headache wears gym shorts and texts her, "You up?" at midnight. I head outside to clear my head. It's cool out, cloudy, the kind of day that makes everything feel heavier. I walk around the block twice, trying to calm the storm that's brewing in my chest. But it's not working anymore. Pretending isn't bringing peace, just more weight. And I'm running out of room to carry it. When I come back in, Gloria is waiting in the living room like a nosy game show host. "Bruce," she says, patting the couch beside her. "Sit with me. Let's chat." I do not want to chat. But I sit. She folds her hands like a kindergarten teacher and leans in slightly. "You know, I've noticed some tension between you two." I freeze. "Here it comes." "You've been a little sharp," she continues delicately. "I know marriage can be stressful and I'm sure work is hard, but—" "You think it's me?" I say, cutting her off. She blinks. "Well, no, I didn't say that, but—" "It's fine," I say, voice steady. "You think I'm the problem? That I've grown cold or distant or bitter?" "I didn't mean it that way, Bruce. I just want you two to be happy again." I nod slowly. "You think I broke this?" "I think you're both under pressure. That things slip when people forget how to connect." I laugh. It's short and bitter and surprises even me. Gloria's eyes narrow. "What's so funny?" "Connect," I echo. "That's rich." "Laura's been connecting plenty, just not with me." She stares at me, confusion slowly dawning into realization. "Oh," she whispers. "Bruce." I stand, hands clenched. "You want honesty? There it is. Your daughter's been sleeping with someone else. For months. Someone from her gym. And I've been here, eating dinner with her, walking our dog, lying to myself every single day while she pretends this house isn't a crime scene." Gloria stares at me, mouth agape. The room feels still. Like the house itself is holding its breath. I haven't confronted her yet, I continue. Because I needed to be sure. Because I needed to know that when I said I gave everything, I meant it. She covers her mouth. "Oh, God." I laugh again, but it's emptier this time. "I'm sorry," I say after a moment. "You came here for family time. Not to find out your daughter's a liar." She shakes her head. I didn't know. She never said anything." "Of course not. She was too busy planning motel meetups with her trainer." Gloria stands now too. "Bruce, you shouldn't be dealing with this alone. Why didn't you say something?" I look her dead in the eye. "Because it would have changed everything. And for a long time I didn't want it to." She nods slowly, tears forming. "I'll talk to her." "No," I say firmly. "Don't. Not yet. Let me do it. My way." Laura comes downstairs a few minutes later, blissfully unaware, scrolling through her phone. Gloria watches her like she's seeing a stranger for the first time. I go upstairs. Close the bedroom door. And for the first time since this began, I cry without shame. Not silently. Not holding it back. It pours out of me like a storm, like floodgates snapping open. Because now it's real. Now someone else knows. And there's no more pretending. When I come back downstairs, Laura is in the kitchen. Gloria's gone silent. She won't even look at her daughter. Laura frowns. "What's going on?" I stare at her. And I realize something. This is the beginning of the end. Not because it has to be, but because I'm finally ready. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I couldn't. Because I didn't want to. Sleep felt like surrender, like letting go of the rope right before the final tug-of-war. I lay in bed with my eyes open, listening to the quiet hum of the house, the occasional creak in the floorboards. Even the walls were restless now. Laura slept beside me like nothing was wrong. She always did sleep well, even when things weren't right. Maybe especially then. In the morning, Gloria was gone. She left a note on the kitchen counter in her perfect cursive. "Bruce, I don't know what to say, but I see you. Take care of yourself. Gee." No goodbye to Laura. That said more than any confrontation ever could. Laura furrowed her brow when she read it. "That's weird," she said, trying to play it off like her mother hadn't just fled our house with a silent scream. "She probably had a lot on her mind," I said, watching her too closely. Laura blinked, then nodded, turning away like she didn't want to ask the obvious question. At work, I stared at spreadsheets I didn't care about. The numbers blurred. Everything did. The world felt slightly tilted, like someone had rearranged the furniture in my mind overnight. I left early. Drove around aimlessly. Not spying, not lurking, just thinking. That night, we ate dinner together. She talked about Murphy's vet visit next week, about a coworker's baby shower, about needing to pick up new gym leggings. I barely heard her. I was stuck on one question: what am I still doing here? After dinner, she disappeared upstairs to rest. I stood in the kitchen and stared at my glass, the way the light bent through it. Something was wrong. Not just with her. With me. With us. I wasn't angry anymore. I was tired. And that scared me more than anything. Later, she came back down, dressed to go out. Hoodie, leggings, messy bun, the "I'm just seeing Aaron for a bit" look I'd seen too many times. She grabbed her keys casually. "Aaron needs to vent." Again. I nodded. Of course. Don't wait up, she said with a soft smile that didn't reach her eyes. And just like that, she was gone. I stood there in the hallway for a long minute. Then I opened my phone. I hadn't tracked her in over a week, but I still could. And something in me, something quiet but sharp, whispered, check. So I did. She wasn't at Aaron's. She was back at the motel. Again. That same dull, gray blip on the map. Room 17. Same place. Same story. Only this time I didn't feel betrayed. I felt ready. I grabbed my coat. Locked the door behind me. Murphy looked up from the couch and thumped his tail once, as if to say, go. About time. I smiled. Be good, buddy. And I drove toward the end of something. Or maybe the start of something else. The rain tapped softly on the windshield like it was trying to talk me out of this. I turned off the engine and stared at the dim, flickering motel sign, Crescent Inn. A place to meet someone for one night and then forget them, if you know what I mean. For weeks, I'd pictured this moment, the confrontation. Her shocked face, his pants halfway up, my righteous fury crashing into the room like a sledgehammer. I'd rehearsed it all. But I hadn't rehearsed the possibility of her being alone. Room 17. I knew the number by heart. Knew how the curtains always drooped slightly to the right. Knew which corner of the parking lot had the light that flickered like a dying firefly. I walked up the stairs without feeling my feet. My heart was pounding, but not the way I expected. Not rage. Just uncertainty. The door was closed but not latched. I knocked once, lightly. No answer. Then, slowly, I pushed it open. Laura sat on the bed. Alone. No Chris. No wine. No dim lighting or mood music. Just her, hunched slightly, hoodie zipped to her chin, hands folded in her lap like she was waiting to be sentenced. She looked up. Her eyes didn't widen. She didn't gasp. She didn't even flinch. Took you long enough, she said. My mouth went dry. You knew I'd come? No, she said. But I hoped you would. I stepped inside. Closed the door behind me. We stood in silence for a moment. It wasn't the kind of silence that demands filling. It was the kind that hums with unfinished conversations. Where's Chris? I finally asked. Gone, she said. Months ago. I ended it. Stupidest thing I've ever done. You said that before, I said, watching her. But you're still coming here. She nodded. I kept the room. Why? She looked down at her hands, fidgeting with her wedding ring still on, though she wore it like a bandage now. This is where I come to fall apart, she said. Where I'm not your wife, or my mother's daughter, or the girl who broke the rules. Just me. Messy, scared, selfish me. I exhaled. I thought you were still cheating. She looked up, finally meeting my eyes. I know. And you let me think that? I didn't know what else to do, she whispered. I thought if I told you everything, you'd leave. And if I told you I was miserable, you'd stay. And I didn't know which would be worse. I sat down across from her, hands on my knees. You could have told me the truth? She laughed, a hollow and sharp. The truth? I don't even know what that is anymore. I loved you. I still do. But somewhere along the way we stopped being us. And I didn't know how to say it without breaking everything. So you broke it anyway. She flinched. I know, she said. I deserve that. I shook my head. I don't want to hurt you. That's the thing that's been killing me. I still care. Even after all of it. She wiped a tear with the edge of her sleeve. I don't deserve that. I know, I said softly. But it's still true. The silence returned, not cold this time, but fragile. Like a truce drawn in pencil. I've been talking to a lawyer, I admitted. She nodded. I figured. I didn't file. Her eyes flicked toward me. Why not? I think I needed to see this, I said. I needed to see that you weren't running away with him. That you weren't happy without me. That it wasn't all one-sided. It wasn't, she said quickly. It was never one-sided. I was just too scared to ask for help when I should have. So I asked the wrong person. I rubbed my face. The rain kept falling outside. You think we can fix it? I asked, more to the air than to her. I don't know, she said. But I'd rather try and fail than quit and wonder. I looked at her, really looked at her. She didn't look like the woman I married. But maybe neither did I. Maybe that's what marriage really is, falling in and out of versions of each other and choosing, again and again, to try. Do you want to come home? I asked. She smiled, watery and small. Only if you promise to laugh at my jokes again. They have to be funny first, I said. She chuckled. Fair. We sat there in the quiet motel room. A space meant for betrayal, suddenly holding the fragile hope of something better. It wouldn't be easy. But maybe nothing worth keeping ever is. We didn't sleep at the motel. We just sat on the edge of the bed, side by side, like strangers in a waiting room. No hands held. No dramatic tears. Just the gentle weight of two people realizing they might still care and have no idea what to do with it. She told me she missed the way I used to rest my hand on her back when we watched TV. I told her I missed the way she used to text me random grocery questions just to feel close. Funny, the things that go missing first. The drive home was silent but not cold. Just careful. Like the space between us was no longer filled with anger but something more dangerous, hope. When we opened the front door, Murphy came barreling toward us, tail whipping the air like a windmill on espresso. He didn't choose sides. He just licked her hand like forgiveness came easy. Laura knelt and hugged him like he was the only honest thing left in the world. I don't deserve that, she said. None of us do, I replied. That's what makes it forgiveness. We ate leftovers in silence. Sat at opposite ends of the couch like middle schoolers afraid to make the first move. It was awkward. Human. Real. That night, she climbed into bed beside me. No pretense. No flirting. Just presence. Her breathing slowed. Her shoulder touched mine. And I realized sometimes healing doesn't look like fireworks. Sometimes it's just falling asleep next to the person who broke your heart and letting them try to fix it in the morning. We started small. No, let's talk about it speeches. No grand plans to heal. Just the gentle effort of existing in the same room without flinching. On Sunday, she made coffee before I got up. Mine, not hers, light roast, splash of oat milk, no sugar. The way I like it. She even remembered the chipped mug I always reach for when I'm tired. It was sitting there on the counter waiting. I almost didn't touch it. Part of me wondered if taking it meant too much. Or too little. But I drank it. Silently. And she didn't say a word, just smiled once, small and quiet, before turning back to the sink. Later that day, I caught her standing in the hallway staring at our wedding photo. Not crying. Just there. Looking like someone who was remembering a life she once auditioned for and somehow got the part. I used to think I knew everything about us, she said. Now I feel like I'm meeting you for the first time. I nodded. Then let's not rush it. That night, we watched a movie on the couch. Not touching. Not even close. But at one point, she laughed loud, unguarded, and I laughed with her. It felt unnatural. It felt real. The past still lived between us, sure. But so did something else. Something fragile. And maybe worth saving. We never became who we were. That version of us, naive, invincible, untouched by betrayal, disappeared. We buried it somewhere between that motel room and the silence in our kitchen. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe love that survives is meant to be rebuilt, not remembered. We didn't have any great romantic reconciliation. No lavish confessions. No dramatic music in the background. Just slow mornings, difficult conversations, and the quiet, clumsy work of stitching two people back together. Trust did not return immediately. It came in glimpses. A shared look in the grocery store. A text message that said, I'm coming home, when before she just didn't text. The first time she asked, are you okay, and waited for a real answer. And the first time I gave it. There were days when I wanted to leave. Days when she looked like she was waiting for me to leave. But I didn't leave. And she didn't leave either. We stayed. Not because it was easy, but because something in both of us believed that this love, beaten, tested, imperfect, still mattered. One evening, a few months later, I was walking with Murphy along our usual path, the sun melting behind the rooftops like honey on the horizon. Laura reached out and put her fingers in mine. It startled me. Not because I wasn't expecting it, but because I didn't realize how much I missed the feeling of someone choosing me. Not out of habit, but out of the heart. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. We just kept walking, holding hands under a sky that finally looked like spring. Not a new spring, but warm enough for something to grow again. The end of our story. Thank you for watching.